friend and lawyer extraordinaire. I'm going to say that because he's amazing. And he really cares for you.
Thank you, Jillian. It's always nice to meet people and to make a connection directly with people is from a social impact point of view. To me, I like spending time with people, and if we're trying to create a community, a world in which things are better, then it has to be done together. So part of what I want to do today is actually invite you to get into a conversation. My vision of the world is a lot less individualism or solitude. People needing to work as teams. So the networking idea includes teams of people. And that team doesn't happen without people talking to each other. So this is a team building exercise. And if we can actually build a team, we can actually do more than any one of us can do by ourselves. So to make it, I don't want this to be just me telling you what to do. It's a question of what can we do together to make the world a better place. So you have paper in front of you. I'm inviting you to write questions that you have as they come up to you. As I said, this is a conversation, so if there's questions I don't answer today, if I get the questions, I can always contact you later on and address your question.
So that doesn't have to happen. The decisions don't have to be made instantly.
Exactly. Because, and I'll explain in a minute, one of the, there's some differences in the way I work as a result of what I want to get, what I want to achieve. And the idea of achieving a thing by where we work together means I need to structure my business in a way that makes it possible for us to be a team. So, you're welcome to interrupt me and anything that comes up, and I may or may not answer the question immediately, but it's helpful in a conversation to hear what you have to think about what you have to say. So, one of the big differences I've made in my practice is I don't charge an hourly fee. There's two reasons for that. One is an hourly fee sets up an adversarial relationship between me and my client. So typically, the client wants to spend as little money as possible, which means less time. And the lawyer says, well, no, I need more time. So the interests are not aligned. The other thing that an hourly fee does is following from the needing to spend as little time is clients give me information and they select what they want me to look at, because the less they give me, the less time I spend. But they're the ones deciding what I see and what I don't see. Which means that the client, who is the least qualified person, is actually making the most important decision about what it is I should see. And typically what happens, as with most lawyers, is The client gives mostly useless information. And the one critical piece of information that makes a difference in the whole question is not uh, given to the lawyer because the client thought it was not important. And the lawyer figured, well, that's the most important thing. Why didn't you tell me that before? If I knew that, this whole thing would have gone completely different. So, by not charging an hourly fee, what I want people to do is to send me information as much as possible. There's no charge for sending me information. The charge is when I give you some help. If I can do something for you, then I can quote you what my fee is. And then you select what you want to pay and select the level of service that you want. So it's more of a choice on how we can work together. My experience has been with a lot of big companies and big law firms. I've been working on contract with these big companies. So when I do that, I'm on basically in-house counsel. And in-house counsel in a large organization is actually the only department that sees everything in the company. HR talks to legal, IT talks to legal, sales talks to legal, the CEO talks to legal. They don't always get talk to each other because each one has their own specialty. But all of them have to talk to legal because either your business is legal or it's not. And before they do anything, they have to run it through legal. That's the way companies operate.
And that's the way small businesses should operate too.
So the question is, do you in your business have somebody who makes sure that you're operating legally? So there's two aspects. One is making decisions today. The other part that is actually more valuable is the future. When the CEO talks to general counsel in a company, the general counsel is actually part of the team, of the business team. So when Warren Buffett does anything, he never does anything without talking to his partner, who is Charlie Munger. Charlie Munger is a lawyer. And when Buffett's the business expert, but Munger is the one who makes sure that what he's doing gets him the results that he wants. So before Buffett spends a penny, he runs it through Munger. And that's how Buffett gets to be where he is. So even somebody at his level needs to talk to somebody like his lawyer. How does everyone else get to make a better position for themselves without talking about it? So to me, it's for most people though, and you can tell me if this is not what you experience. It's for most people today, talking to a lawyer is like talking to a dentist, or at least used to be. People didn't go to the dentist till they had a toothache. Then they go to the dentist, and most of the time at that point, the teeth have gone so bad that all they do is extraction. Till people learn that if you went to a dentist to get the teeth cleaned, you maybe don't get the cavities. So people now go to a dentist more easily before they get a toothache. The teeth are fine, and they still go to the dentist. If you have a car today, you have to do a maintenance schedule. You do an oil change, you do check with higher pressures, you do things that are routine maintenance to make sure the car stays on the road.
In that line, what would be routine for people like us in business?
Exactly.
What would be the issues that we would, and I'm looking at this sheet as well. Are these realistic things for small businesses to be looking at ahead of time with council? Suppose, for instance, you have on your debt collection and you've never had debt collection. Well, you're here for debt collection. And you're a lawyer for that.
Right. So the with small businesses, which is a bit different from the big companies, is people have their own personal things and the business. In a big company, when you go to work, you're just doing what the company wants. The advantage of being a small business is you can do what you want. It's your business, and you can do it any way you want to. What I usually recommend is thinking not only of worrying about what you get into your business, but also what you take out of the business. Because at some point, if you're not taking money out of the business, then you don't have a business. When you go to work for a company as an employee, you always worry about how much are they going to pay you. So the same question should be asked: is what's your business going to pay you? And so you need to actually have a personal plan and a business plan, and the two have to be connected. So on a personal level, your biggest debtor is your business. So when you talk about debt collection, as a business person, you usually talk about who owes the business money. But does the business owe you money? And if the business is not paying you, then you don't really have a business. You got a hobby, but it's not a business, which is fine. I mean, if you do it just because you're doing it for fun, that's okay too. But that's the choice that you can make. So when you have a team of people operating, the advantage is you can focus on what you're good at. And you can delegate to other people the things that need to be done, but that you're not the best person to do. In a company, these are all divided up. Somebody does HR, somebody else does sales, somebody else does IT. So by dividing that up, they actually, as an organization altogether, are much more successful than everyone trying to do everything.
So what you're saying is, by having the legal counsel at a small level, you can have your business grow rather than stagnate.
Most people business people are not making as much either money or impact that they could make because they're trying to do everything. When you're trying to do everything, most of the time you're doing stuff that you're not good at, rather than doing stuff that you're good at. And by doing stuff that you're not good at, you're actually operating at less than your best. The result is you're actually leaving money or wasting money, paying yourself to do things that you're not good at. If you just gave that money to somebody else to do the job and focus on what you're good at, you'd actually end up making more money.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm not
Yes.
asking all the questions, but please jump in yourself. So when does a business seek legal counsel if they don't have they're a startup and don't have enough funds and think, oh well, I don't have the money to pay the legal, and that drops off. Don't have the money to pay marketing, so that drops off.
If you don't have money, nobody has money before they start.
Okay.
The question is not whether you have money or not. It's a question of whether you're going to make money. If you're not going to make money, then you don't have a business, and you have a hobby. So if you have a hobby, that's fine. You're spending money, and you can play with it. But if you're going to make money, then if you're going to be delivering cakes, you need a car. Saying I have no money, so I have no car is not enough. If you need a car to get the cake to where it needs to go, that's part of the cost of business. So there are some essentials that you need to have for your business to function. So saying that I don't have money is not really an answer. You need to identify what is important to your business and what do you need for the business to actually happen. And if you try and do everything by yourself, just from what you know, what you think you should be doing, this is why 80% of businesses fail within the first 5 years. And from what I've seen, most of them fail for avoidable reasons. These businesses don't need to fail, but they fail because you don't know what you don't know. And if you think you know everything, it's a recipe for disaster. The world is changing, and the reality is it's not that changing is new, it's that it's changing at a faster rate. The rate of change is accelerating. I'll give you a simple example, the computers. 10 years ago, the computer that you took up a room now is inside your cell phone. Because every 2 years it doubles in capacity. At that rate of change, if your business is not designed to handle that rate, accelerating rate of change, you're out of business. And there are big companies that are out of business because they didn't change. So today, IBM has a deal with Apple to sell Apple apps. Now, if you think of Apple and IBM, they are not usually thought of the same way. But IBM salespeople are not going to be selling Apple apps because IBM as a mainframe thing is actually no longer a big business. So businesses the size of IBM and General Motors and everybody else has to change because the world is changing. I think you as small businesses have an advantage over IBM because you can actually change faster than IBM. So the future to me is small business.
It was in the 1800s.
Exactly. Yeah.
Elaborate a little bit on how a small business can change faster than a big multi-million-dollar company like IBM.
Well, you make cakes, right?
Yes.
Every cake you make is a change. Because you're making a cake for what your customer wants. IBM says we have a computer, we're going to sell it. And we're going to then go find somebody who needs a computer that they sell it. You have a customer who says, I want this kind of a cake, and then you make the cake. So Dell computers was built the way you make cakes. Michael Dell first got the orders, then he built the computer. So when you order a computer from Dell, the description on their menu is only what they have available because they have deals with other people who supply them the part. You don't actually buy the part. When you say you want a computer with this, and this, then they go to the suppliers and say, okay, we need one of this. And then they put it together, test, and send it to you. So they make computers like you make cakes.
Custom made.
The problem with Dell system is part of the change is nobody's buying desktops anymore. What your cell phone can do today is more than a desktop can do. So nobody's buying desktops. So Dell has actually a problem. Now, if nobody's buying your rum cake, you can make a different cake.
That's right.
You can change today. Dell can't change today because they have supply orders. They don't have the deals to make it happen. So you have a huge advantage because everything is shifting to being customized. The manufacturing is gone. You have 3D printers today. They have 3D they made a car that actually works from a printer. The whole car is printed in a printer. So you can make a custom design car for yourself. You just say what you want and the printer will print it. And the printers operate the same as an inkjet printer. It's just instead of ink, you're putting plastic or whatever else. So what you can do on an inkjet printer, you can make dinner in a printer, you can make your car in a printer, they're making parts for people's bodies and replacement parts for surgery. They're replacing your parts by 3D printed parts. You don't have to wait for something.
So you mean, boy, that's really futuristic. Eh?
That's not future. That's already happened.
So innovation. And how can a lawyer help with innovation?
Because the laws tend to laws are rules. Rules make a difference because it's what happens again and again. So when things are changing, the rules change fast. What a lawyer is trained to do, at least what I can do, which is a bit different than most lawyers, is because of my broad background, I can actually integrate stuff. So my approach is to look at my client as like a plant. The plant is part of a forest. If the forest is getting burned up, the one plant is not going to survive. So we need to look at it as an ecosystem. So you are part of an ecosystem. You cannot be healthy if the whole ecosystem is not healthy. For you to be healthy, you need all of this. So like a family, a kid by itself is not going to grow up healthy if they don't have a healthy family or healthy friends and healthy. They get into trouble with the wrong kid and then they go off the rails. So you need a whole village to raise a child.
So when you're looking at the lawyer, you also need a lawyer on the personal side.
Exactly.
Because it impacts the business.
Exactly. As we were hearing a little while ago about the insurance, there is a question. If you don't show up to work today, who's going to pay the bills? So besides having access to the cash, which insurance can do, you need to actually have the rules in place which allow that to happen. The rules that make it happen need to be suited to your situation. So, for example, you may have, and this happens routinely, is you have a bank account for your business. Who can go to the bank and get the money out of the account? There may be $1 billion in the account, but who can sign for that? If you're not there and you're the only one signing for it, having all that money there doesn't mean anything. The bills are not getting paid.
Imagine 9/11 when all the planes came down, and there was a guy in Halifax
Yeah.
who had to sign a $50,000 deal in Florida, I think it was Florida, but couldn't get there. And he went through, and he had to pay a penalty because he had guaranteed to be there and pay $50,000 if he didn't show up. And the other party held him to it. He said 9/11, no excuse.
Exactly. Well, it's the same situation we were talking about a little while ago. If people say they're coming to a meeting here and you have ordered lunch, then they say they're not coming. Who's going to pay for it? So you can, in fact, put provisions in place, and this is what we were talking about. How do you address the issue so that everybody's interests are looked after? Because in my role as counsel, my interest is actually in your success. If you're not successful, I got no clients. So I have a basic interest in your success. The traditional kind of operating where the lawyers charge by the hour, they don't care about whether you're successful or not. They're only concerned about their success. Because as long as you're paying them, if you don't pay them, they get somebody else to pay. But the way I operate, it's your success that I need, because if I have you as a long-term client, I actually make more money than I would the other way. Because I don't have to go looking for new clients. So in terms of a business concept, having a repeat client is actually cheaper than having all marketing to get another client. It's the same idea. But same client keeps coming back. And all my clients are word of mouth. I've never advertised. I'm doing this now because my interest is in creating a network of it. So one of the things I do, which Lee referred to, Jillian has mentioned before, is that I do wills, houses of attorney. 80% of Canadians don't have a will. Everybody I meet says, yeah, we need to do that. But 6 months later, what happened? Well, I don't know who to name as the person who is going to take over. So we talked about insurance. Besides insurance, you need some human being to actually sign with it. That's your power of attorney. So if your business, you don't have somebody with power of attorney to run your business when you're not there.
If that guy had a power of attorney when he landed in Halifax and couldn't go any further, the person at the other side could sign on his behalf because he is that person.
Yeah.
Okay, so